Hello everybody, welcome back to Read and Reread. I am Angelia and today I'm going to do my last Friday reads for January. Well, we're 1 month into 2026 and I'm remembering when we were at the end of 2025 and everyone was talking about, whoa, 2025 was rough, but a new year's coming. It's been quite a month. And yeah, it's still going on. So we're going to hang in there. We're going to hang in there together. Let's talk about some books and reading and things like that. In TV watching, it is pure escapism. We're watching The Americans again, and it's fun because we only remember about a quarter of what happened. We start to watch it and we go, oh, wait a minute. Doesn't this happen? Doesn't that happen? The other day we saw the episode with a very, very young Sadie Sink, and right when she appeared I thought, oh, I remember what happens next. We're also watching Portlandia for the first time, but mostly The Americans because we've gotten re-caught up in the plot all over again. I want to go right on into the books because the first thing I want to talk about is a banned book incident, or really kind of a, well, yeah, it's a banned book, but it's also an author visit cancellation situation. So I saw this news story, which I will link in the notes, and it was about Chris Barton, the children's author, who I'm really familiar with from my career as a children's librarian. He mostly does picture books. He does a couple of different levels. He's done quite a few non-fiction picture books about topics of interest to kids. So he did one about the brothers who invented neon. He did one about a very inventive child who went on to invent the Nerf water gun, the Super Soaker. And then he also has fiction picture books for younger, beginning readers. What is it? Shark versus Trained. There's a whole bunch of this versus that, like two opposing things, and all of them are things that little kids love. So I was quite familiar with his work. It's not the kind of person who jumps out and you think, ooh, controversial, edgy material. So I was surprised when I saw this news story about him being uninvited to an author event in a nearby district. So Alamo Heights School District is in San Antonio, a couple hours from here. And it is a wealthy area of San Antonio that has its own school district. It's not part of the larger San Antonio school district, which is quite, I don't know if that happens where you are, but in Texas it's quite common for the wealthy enclave in a big city to kind of turn itself into its own town so it can have its own school district. So that's a whole other thing. But anyway, so the story is that Chris Barton had visited this district before, and they had invited him to come and do an author visit again. So he had visited maybe like 5 years before, something like that. They invited him, and in these author children's visits at schools, the author comes, they do a presentation, an assembly, they talk about their creative process. They usually have books for sale and signings, and it's just a really great way for kids to get in touch with an actual author, meet an author, find out how they work, and enjoy the books. And anyway, it's a great thing. And usually PTAs put it on and with funding. So anyway, he was invited, and then they told him, oh, but wait, you can still come, but only if you do not talk about this one book of yours. Well, it's his most recent book, so the one he would actually want to be talking about. You can't talk about it. You can't mention it. You can't refer to it. We're not going to have it there. You have to just leave this one book out because it has material in it that is against the law in Texas. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the scandalous material right now. And I will tell you right up front that Chris Barton said, yeah, no, thanks, I'm out. So, all right, here's his latest book. It's called Glitter Everywhere, and it is illustrated by Chaaya, Prabhat, and it is about glitter, okay? It's about the history of glitter. It starts with, I had to check it out so I could see what the deal was. It starts with the fact that glitter is both loved and hated. We get into what is iridescence scientifically, and how does it occur in nature, and why are we attracted to it? And then he goes into the history of glitter, and it's how it used to be called flitter. Then he gets into common uses of glitter today, and then we're coming up to the big scandalous moment. Here he's talking about glitter used in celebrations like Mardi Gras, and who do we have here? It appears to be a trio of drag queens, and here is the troubling remark that banned the book from the school district. On the day after Mardi Gras, Ash Wednesday, many Christian churchgoers are marked with ashes on their foreheads. To signal the welcoming of LGBTQ plus worshippers, some congregations now offer a mix of ashes and purple glitter. Glitter, truly, is everywhere. Okay, so that one sentence banned the book from the school district, and so they lost their author visit. And I mean, I cannot even. And I guess the thing that really got up to me too was this idea that they said you can come, but just do not mention this book. Like the erasure of a group of people from even a trace mention in a book about an entirely different topic. It's chilling. It's chilling. So I was very happy. I immediately also looked up to see if the school, a whole different district in a different city, but the school where I used to work, do they have glitter everywhere? Because we have a bunch of other books by this author that I had placed in that library myself, and they do have it. So I was like, whew, okay, hope it sticks around. Anyway, ask your library to get a copy of Glitter Everywhere. Check it out. It's a fun book. The next thing I want to mention, so I don't forget, but I'm very excited about, is the upcoming second episode of Women of Words. This is a show, a monthly YouTube live show that I am a co-host of, along with Debs from Rainer Read Stuff and Pat from Book Chat with Pat, my good friends, and we are getting together once a month to talk about different bookish and literary and reading topics. And so it's always on the first Tuesday of the month at 12 o'clock Central Time, which is me, 1 o'clock Eastern Time, which is Pat, and 6 o'clock Greenwich Time, which is Debs. And so that is coming up on Tuesday. I will be hosting it on my channel this time. We're rotating. Think good thoughts, because technology is not the reason why I am involved in BookTube. But I think I've got it. I don't know if I've got it. We'll see. If the show comes on, I got it. All right, so I'm very excited about that. And our topic is Mind the Gap, books you feel that you should have read. Should, in quotation marks, because that's part of what we want to talk about. We all have these feelings, books that we think, why haven't I read that? A gap in the education, or just in your reading life, and you have that feeling like, I really should have read that. It might be classics, it might be contemporary authors that you've never read. And then what's that should? Where's that coming from? Is that self-generated? What makes you feel like you should have read something? And is that even valid? So we're going to talk about all of that. So gather your thoughts and please join us. And I can't wait. Let's talk about what I actually read this week. I finished a beautiful, beautiful quiet gem, A Room Above a Shop by Anthony Shapland. This book was a lovely gift from my dear friend Allie, who sent it to me. It's not out in the US yet, but she sent it to me from Blackwell's. She's in the UK. This was a couple months ago, she wanted to send me a little gift of a book that I could not access. It's a shorty. It's just melancholy and sad, but then there's a joy to it too, and it's beautiful. It's about, okay, let me tell you, it's set in the 1980s in a rural town in Wales, and it's about these two men. One of them is about a decade older than the other one. The older man, who is only known as M in this story, has inherited a shop. It's a hardware and iron working shop. He invites B to come work at his shop and to share the room above the shop, because B needs to move out of his house. He needs to get a start in life. He's the younger one. And when they meet, there's immediately a question and a tension between them, and they're each very attracted to the other, but it takes them a while to slowly and carefully gravitate to each other and kind of feel it out, see if it's real what they're feeling, because it's a very guarded and closeted time, and we get little flashes of their past and how they grew up feeling different and trying to conceal it and trying to mask and adapt their behavior so that nobody notices, and just this yearning to connect with somebody, and then they find each other. So it's a love story, but it's not a romance novel. It's spare and descriptive at the same time. It's very sensual in the actual meaning of the senses, about how memory, the little distilled moments that we keep in memory, are often related to a sight, a smell, a feel. And it's both their memories before meeting and then this 3 years that they are together in this story. I'm not going to tell you what happens, but the way that they come together and make a life, and then it's called A Room Above a Shop because the importance of this bedsit room that they share above, that is their private place, that nobody else can see them, that they can be truly themselves and together. It's just, the descriptions are really beautiful. It's spare and perfectly laid out, kind of like a Claire Keegan book where it can be very short, but every sentence is just really powerful. I don't know how this wasn't on the Booker list, because I thought it was really quite stunning. It was so short. I've got to read it again. I got a little anxious about where the story was going, and so now I need to read it again, just kind of knowing how it ends, and then just going through and feeling it again, which is what happens with Claire Keegan books. You get that tension about oh no, what's happening? And you gotta get to the end, the plot end, and then you gotta go back so you can feel the language and the characters all over again. But I really love this book. Then I also finished the buddy read I was doing of Flora and Ulysses by Kate DiCamillo with my friend Michael. We are reading all of Kate DiCamillo's books in a very casual and stop and start kind of fashion. This was a lot of fun. I feel like when I came upon this book, when I had it in my school library, I don't think I ever carefully read it from start to finish. I think I skimmed it. I don't think I actually read the whole thing. So I had great fun. Quirky characters. It's about a girl who finds a squirrel. She rescues a squirrel who's been sucked up into this crazy supersonic vacuum when her neighbor was not mowing her lawn, she was vacuuming her lawn. The vacuum cleaner gives them superpowers. It reminds her of a superhero book that she loves, and it's about that, but it's about her tensions with her parents. It's about a bunch of things, and a goofy little boy that's staying next door. It's really eccentric and a lot of fun. It was a refreshing thing to read in a troublesome week. I also finished, talk about refreshing and troublesome, I finished Jenny Lawson's book, Broken in the Best Possible Ways. This woman is really funny. And she's also so candid and heartfelt. She shares a lot of vulnerable things about herself, about some chronic illnesses that she contends with and mental health struggles with anxiety and depression. And then she's just so funny. There's a whole chapter about socially awkward disasters that she kicks off, and then I guess on her blog she invited people to share their own, and there's this whole chapter with just piles and piles of hilariously awful, cringy things that people sent in, and then she interjects with her own commentary. And then another chapter that was laugh out loud funny was when she got invited to write a piece, like a journalistic piece, about the show Shark Tank, but instead she got sidetracked, and she and her husband and a couple of friends sat around and got drunk and made up inappropriate Shark Tank pitches for imaginary products, and it just gets more and more vulgar and inappropriate as it goes along. And again, the perfect thing to read. So I put aside the serious book about how the government is formed, and I read about these terrible projects, and I can't even tell you, but it's very funny. And currently I have gotten down to the last thing I hadn't finished reading, and it is Northwoods. It's a reread. I love this book so much. I'm going to finish it again today, and part of my 60 before 60 project is to reread 30 books that I've been meaning to reread. Some of them are popping up in different reading projects. Some of them are I'm just picking things from my shelf that every time I see them, I think, oh, I really want to read that again. And this is one of those. It was just, that was the mood. I had a little piece of time before starting the February books, and I said, this would be a great time to hit one of my rereads. Let me look around, and this was the one. If you have not read Northwoods, and you don't remember or you weren't here the last time I carried on about Northwoods a couple years ago, here's your chance to hear me carry on about it now. This is a novel that chronicles a cabin in the woods in Massachusetts, and the house that is added on. Things are added a lot over the years, but it begins when a pair of Puritans run away from a colony. They're in love with each other. She doesn't want to marry the man that was selected for her, and they're running away. I love the first couple pages of this book, where the lovers are escaping and they're hiding in the bushes, and it's just, I love how it begins. And they're the first ones that construct the original cabin. And then over the centuries, different people happen to come and live in these woods. And the house takes on different dimensions, and it's built onto, things fall apart. And the woods around go through many different changes. The biggest change comes early on when a British soldier who's come to the Americas decides to start an apple orchard, which he then leaves to his twin daughters. And that's kind of at the heart of the story. It also sets up something that some people don't like in this story, and that is the fact that there are ghosts. This house goes on for centuries, and it has accumulated some spirits, and there's just ghosts. It's one of those books it's not a ghost story, it's not a horror story, but there are ghosts in the story. So, just saying. Each segment moves forward in time, but contains little hints and elements of the people and events from previous times. And as the reader, we're the only ones who've seen it all and know some of the truths that other people misinterpret. And that's something I love in this book, is people, little pieces of information, curiosities, where subsequent people who are familiar with these woods and this house, or these people, they kind of know some of the story, but they don't really know the whole story. And over the centuries, this house has seen it all. It has seen crimes, it has seen love stories, it has seen deaths, it has seen secrets, and there's also some fabulous nature writing in here, because as the house and the inhabitants go through changes, so do the surroundings. And sometimes they are imposed by humans. Sometimes it's just things that happen in the natural world with different blights and climate events, and the woods keep reclaiming themselves and regenerating. I love how the nature writing is woven through this book. And in alternating parts, there's all kinds of structures. There's first person, there's third person, there's documents, historical documents, songs, a true crime article from a magazine, a narrative that was hidden away in a family Bible. There's just all kinds of pieces that come together that make the overall story and make everything connect together as the time passes. I love the way he writes in this book. I'm so excited that he has another novel coming out later this year. In the in-between, I did read a collection of short stories, which I liked, but I didn't love as much as this. So I'm really excited to see this next novel that's coming up. But I have just loved Northwoods all over again. If you haven't previously had an opportunity to read this, I highly recommend it. I'm just highly recommending things today. But that's the end of my reading report. I am going to go ahead and get going on my February selections. We have a couple days left of January, so I'm going to finish up Northwoods, but I have a lot of February books that all are kind of starting at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and look through that and see what I could go ahead and crack open a day early and get on into those. So I'm going to wrap it up. I hope that you have had a good week. and have a peaceful weekend in store. Stay warm, stay safe. I know there's like another snowstorm coming to some areas. Here it's just going to be kind of chilly. I don't even think it's going to rain. But so be careful, keep well, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.